Shamayah puts me under fire. I love it, though. I love it. It's really on point. And she makes me think about what is the end result, really, through what you're offering, and be able to vocalize it.
It's been massive for us.
I was able to get into conversations with the decision makers, with CEOs, with high-level people.
We booked about 50 calls within about 2 months.
I'm having a great response. It's been significantly more than I expected. My inbox is actually kind of overflowing right now.
Just in these 8 weeks, we already tripled our return on investment.
I have people who are ready to buy.
And that gives you just a sneak peek of what is possible with LinkedIn, and especially with LinkedIn events. So it really shows that, what you can do. So first of all, welcome everybody from all over the world to unleash the power of ChatGPT and LinkedIn events. As you may know, ChatGPT, I don't know if you already start playing with it, but it's like super amazing what you can do. And if you combine that with the power of LinkedIn events, it's a really powerful tool to create more freedom, time, and income, and to grow your business. Guys, we'd definitely be great if you want to connect after, but it would be good just to focus on the training for now, okay? So because I really would like you to be with me. I know there's a lot of distractions and it's tempting. If you have a question and you're stuck, feel free to use the chat, but let's focus on this. And at the end, we can definitely do questions and connect with everybody, and happy to facilitate that. Here are some of the books that I've written: Step Into Your Vision, Googleicious, couple of best-selling books. But the question is not as much about me, but what is it for you today? What motivated you to join, to be here today, take the time out, and to learn about ChatGPT and LinkedIn events? What is it that you would like to achieve? Because that way I can make sure that I can bring the value that you're looking for. So you can type it in the chat. I would love to hear, reduce the workload. Okay, Farnoosh, that's great. Definitely great, you can do that with ChatGPT. And specifically what I specialize in is the marketing messages, just to make them things better. Okay, interested in learning about LinkedIn events. That is great. New ways of using ChatGPT. Okay, good. Curiosity, very familiar with ChatGPT and other AI tools. Good. Well, today we're going to see how can you apply it specifically for LinkedIn. And you may pick up some other tips, because the better you know how to use the input, the better output obviously get. About to launch an event, Catherine, we definitely should talk more. Embrace the technology, wanting to market it, okay? Wondering how they are connected to get new clients, maximize the written content, really nice, more efficient. We're definitely going into that, capture more clients who are ready to buy. Awesome, sounds really good. So what I do is I help people with their LinkedIn's, and really specifically using LinkedIn and the tools and the systems that we've developed to free up your time and to make it more efficient. Because I love things that are efficient, where you get results and you don't have to spend as much time on it. Because who would agree with me that time is your most valuable asset? I mean, if you would lose $100,000, I mean, it would be could be painful, but you could make it again. But if you lose the time, if you're working and your teenage kids, you barely see them, and then before you know, they're off to university, and you never have the opportunity again to build that bond. So time really is precious. Who else would agree? Aman, definitely. That's great. By show of hands, would you agree that it would be helpful to create more time? If you would have 2 more hours in your day, how would it change your life, right? And there's different people here on the training with us. Maybe you're just frustrated. You've tried to use LinkedIn, you didn't get the results. I often hear people say, well, I signed up for Sales Navigator, but it really didn't work for me. Maybe you've tried ChatGPT and you just don't know how to get it to work. Maybe you're on a crossroad in your life where you wonder, which direction should I go? What can I do to take my company to the next level without having to work more hours? And maybe you just feel like, oh, I feel I'm missing something. Or you just want to scale and realize you're in a point in your life where you want to share the knowledge that you have with more people, share it maybe in an online program, in coaching, while you continue building your business and don't really want to spend the time in marketing, or you want to create more time so you can make a difference and help others. So those are the people that will benefit today. So even if you go fly fishing, yeah, that would be also very, very fun. So this was me as a little girl. I loved to puzzle because I love to solve problems, and I love organizing. Even here, I was a master at networking at the age of 14, where I put this whole group of young people together from different congregations on the bus trip in Europe to Paris. And as it was my dream to live in different countries and to travel, I one day had the opportunity to move to Ecuador in South America and do missionary work there. So we were on our horses, we went to schools, we were singing with kids, teaching them English, teaching lessons from the Bible. Until the one day that I got very sick. I came home from the local market and I was in so much pain. And I was living all by myself. At the time when I arrived, I didn't speak a word Spanish. And I really wondered, if I die tonight, how long is it going to take for my family to find out? I also realized at that time that when you have a business, but it's just you don't really have a business. And I definitely learned from that, because at the time when I was sick, nothing happens because I was my business. So now what I did, and I would love to help you with that as well, is to create a system and then leverage your time and help use the system also, and have the team that supports you so that you can get more done. You can focus on the most important things, but also if something happens, you have the backup. Well, unfortunately, I'm still here to tell the story. Unfortunately, the recovery took quite long. I think it was more the overdoses of antibiotics that the doctors gave me than the salmonella infection I had. And so after several months, I basically was running out of my reserves. I was still not feeling well. And then out of the blue came this guy, and he, we started dating. We dated for a while. He was from California, and he proposed. And I thought, you know what? This must be God's answer to my prayer. So, he flew me over. I moved to California. We were getting ready for the wedding, and he told me, don't worry about your business. I'll take care of you. Focus on your health. And then one day we were sitting in a restaurant, when California has such great weather. So we're sitting outside in this Mexican restaurant, and we get the menu. We're looking to order, and just noticed that he's quiet. So I'm saying, hey, Jonathan, are you okay? And he says, the wedding is off. I'm like, what? This was 2 weeks before our wedding. I'd given up everything. I'd given up my life in Ecuador, my horses, my residency, my permanent residency for Ecuador. I had no income, no savings. We were not living together before we got married. So I was just staying with somebody. I couldn't stay in the US because I'm not a US citizen. And I had nowhere to go. So I ended up all by myself and my suitcase with no place to go, no income, no savings. Like my whole life collapsed. I'd given up everything. He promised he wanted to share his life with me. And he just broke up and disappeared, and I never heard from him again. Wow. What do you do when your whole world collapsed and you don't know, where do you go, where to start? Well, the money is really in your network, in the relationships, and in putting communication out. And that's also, at that time, I had a different business. I was helping entrepreneurs to become best-selling authors. But the key is to get the communication out. And LinkedIn has been tremendous for me in building the businesses and generating the leads, and even for you to be here today. So do you feel that you would like to free up your time? Well, using the power of AI and setting up effective systems is key to achieving that. Maybe you feel stuck, stressed, and overwhelmed. Well, if you get organized and supercharge your productivity, you will notice that actually there are more hours in the day than you may think. Or it can be that you're not making the most of LinkedIn. It's like a huge network. There's a lot of people there that you can interact with. You need to know how to use it, how to use the tool, which is the same, of course, also for ChatGPT. And I will share with you, so again, it's good to know the growth hacks of LinkedIn events. And that's basically the different people that maybe one of the three categories of the people that are here. Maybe you want more leads, more clients, just expand your business. LinkedIn events are great for that. Or you are an expert in your industry, you have a knowledge and you really want to position yourself more, build your brand, and leverage your time by creating online programs, online group coaching, expand beyond your current business. Or you just want to make sure that you free up your time so you have more time to do the things that you love. And that is really what the system that I've developed, because that's what I love to do most, is to travel. This is a great quote. 94% of failure is the result of the system, not the people. So if you tried LinkedIn, if you tried ChatGPT, or if you hosted some events, but it wasn't so successful, it really wasn't you. This was a quote from Edward Deming, and he was really instrumental in rebuilding Japan after the Second World War. It was like incredible what he did. And then he worked for some big corporations in the US as well. So you can see that what he said, 94% of failure is the result of the system. He started putting in systems, and that changed around everything. And that's what I'd like to offer for you today. So how do you get the most value? If you make the time, I want you to really get, number one, get tips or something that you can use. That's what I'd like to invite you to do. Number one is to take one thing and start applying. Because if you just watch and don't do anything with it, obviously you won't really get the results. And number two, I want to share with you what we can do to help you to really expedite your results, as I've developed the system and can assist you with a team so that you can focus on the things that you love most while still achieving your goals. So for the training today, for the next 45 minutes, let's do a quick training drill. So when I say start, I would like you to take a full breath in and then hold your breath as long as you can and count. Okay, you're ready. 3, 2, 1. Take a long breath in as long as you can, count, and then type your score in the chat. And I am curious, you do have to breathe out. Yes, 12 seconds are not. Who else? Maybe you're still breathing in. That's great. Then you're really good. 10, okay, 21. 30 still going. Whoa, amazing. Catherine, 15. Murnal, 20. Shannon's 20, 23. Still going, Mikael. That's awesome. 25, 40, 30. 45. Quite amazing, 45. Is there anyone who didn't breathe out yet? Wow. Tim 60, Guillermo 80. Wow, Mikael 60. Louis, are you still breathing? 75, Jordan. Amazing. Well done. Very well done. And thank you for doing the drill with me. You know that there's, Louis, are you done? Parfender, 20. Yeah, don't pass out, people. I agree, Michael. That's very true. Because eventually, even if you can do it for 80 seconds or maybe 2 or 3 minutes, eventually you have to breathe out. You stopped at 80. Well done, though. Yeah, I also hope so. I don't see anybody on the camera that passed out. But eventually you have to breathe out. So that's why I really appreciated that you're interacting and you're adding in the chat. Because if I give you a lot of information, it's like you breathing in. If you don't breathe out, chances are you're going to pass out. Maybe not physically, but like spiritually, you're like no longer with us. You're shapping out, you're tuning out, you're getting distracted. So it's really good if you interact. As we said, if there's questions, we'll answer them or we answer them at the end. If it's related to recording, things like that, we'll just get back with you. Don't worry, we will see everything. But yeah, make sure you interact. If there's something you understand, if you a word you don't understand, feel free to ask, because otherwise you miss everything else if you miss the foundation. So that's the lesson: participate and be present. So you guys, this great.
I've got business opportunities that are showing up from the LinkedIn things, but I've also got other areas of my career where things that have been blocked are opening up as well. And so it's even more than just a LinkedIn program. It's something that actually helps you get moving in all areas.
So that's what I'd love to do with you, because LinkedIn is just a tool to achieve what it is that you want. So give you a few overview. Today, we're going to go over design, how we can design the LinkedIn strategy with using ChatGPT that will get you the results that you're looking for. To discover what is your unique added value, what makes you set yourself apart from everybody else in your industry, and how can you deploy the income formula. The income formula is incredible because it always works. And if you want income, and income can be anything. It can be money, but it can be friends, it can be love, it can be kisses from your children, or, you know, it can be anything, health. The income formula works. So we'll go more into that. The first takeaway that I'm going to cover is design. We're going to design the LinkedIn strategy. In order to do that, I have a few questions I would like to find out from you. How many LinkedIn connections do you have? Like more or less. If you can type it in the chat. 4,300, 4,500, awesome. 30, okay, good. Room for improvement. Mikael can definitely grow. We're all 3,200, nice. 60,000, 15,000, wow, that's amazing. 500 plus. Shannon, 66, nice. 20,000, that's amazing. Just imagine how many people we can connect with each other. 9,200, 2,500, 2,700, nice. Very, very cool. So now I have another question. When is the last time they heard from you? Who's been in touch with their 2,700, 2,500? When is the last time? This morning. Great, Kristen. Like all of them or just a few? Okay. Today, this morning, great. Been a while, exactly. Because it takes time. If you want to go, where are you going to find the time to message each one? And then if they don't respond, to reach out. So yeah, it's good. I can see there's people active here, but every single person, that's great. If you can do 50 a day, most people don't have the time to do that consistently and then to be able to follow up with the people who didn't respond. So the question is, are you growing your network daily? That's very true, Lewis. I'll get into that as well. When people don't respond, what do you do about that? Are you sending to some extent? Yes. Well, LinkedIn gives you 100 connection requests a week. So are you sending out everyday connection request? And that's the other thing, just going into this, he says not everybody's responding. That's true, because if you have 100 connection requests per week, if you look at it, you'll have, you know, acceptance rate is between 15 and 20, you're doing really well. So if you're sending 100 a week, 15 will accept, maybe, and then of those, 15 to 20% will respond. So yeah, you do need to realize that the quantity that's needed needs to be higher in order for you to get more people to respond to you. And that's what we have the system for with my team. What we can do is assist you with that, so that instead of you manually sending 10, 20 a day, that you can actually maximize your results on LinkedIn, where you can send 50, 80 messages a day, like even send 500 to 800 connection requests per week instead of the standard 100 per day that you can do. So we go over this is define your destination, like what is it you want to create, and then align your business model with your ideal lifestyle, apply the income formula, which we'll go into later as well, and unlock the power of LinkedIn events. What are the benefits of LinkedIn events? I know there's different people, you may or may not have used them yet, so I'll just go over for you to understand. It's a great way to build your brand because people see you. They get the opportunity to learn more about you, and whether they attend or not, they still see that you are an expert or that you have value or knowledge in that specific area. Which is great because you can actually showcase your knowledge and let people know how you can help them and bring value to them. You can easily generate 100 plus leads with the LinkedIn strategy. Grow your email list. And this also don't underestimate, because I see there's people with a lot of connections, like 15,000 and more. That's great. But tomorrow you could wake up and somebody at LinkedIn decided to press a button and you lose your whole network. They just decide to close your account. And then you may or may not get it back. So growing your email list and connecting with people and getting their email is very important. And LinkedIn events, as you've noticed, is a great way to do it because all of you had to register with your email address to join here today. And of course, the content, you can snip it in pieces from the event and then also have content. And of course, the fun part is to generate sales. Here is an example, for example, Dr. Chris Neveling, he has an event, it's called Supercharge Your Productivity. And you can see here, he has 625 attendees. Now, as I said, not all 625 people may show up, but there's still 625 people that raise their hand and says, hey, I'm interested to supercharge my productivity. So it's people he can reach out to, follow up with, and that is the key. And that's unique, which I'm so excited about the system that I have. 80% of the income is in your follow-up. So with the system that you can send a message once to these people, but if you're connected, if they don't respond, or you email them once, like how can you stay in touch with them and build that relationship? That's what we can help you with. Here's another example. Karish, he leveraged the power of real estate auctions. Again, 455 brokers that say, hey, I would like to know more how I can use real estate auctions for my company. And here you can see also that the title is very important, and ChatGPT can help you with that. And yeah, it's definitely great to use email instead of just LinkedIn messaging. And if you can do that for your whole network, obviously that would be even more valuable. So this is what I'd like you to take away from this first step in designing your strategy, is to define your outcome. So if you do LinkedIn events, what is it that you would like? Do you want to have new leads? Do you want to have like 2 new clients every time you do an event? Maybe just build your email list. Really focus on building those relationships daily. And the benefit of using LinkedIn events is that you have people that you know who to focus on. Because you have 15,000 people, it's kind of difficult to build relationships with 15,000 people at a time. But if you use the LinkedIn event, the people that will come to your event, you know that they'll be interested in what you have to offer because they just told you. And determine what you'll be known for, because that's the key thing. On LinkedIn, obviously, there's like how many financial advisors, how many realtors, like how many of everything. You need to have something that sets you apart. And that's where we go into how does AI platform work within the context of LinkedIn. It's really using LinkedIn to ChatGPT to optimize your results with LinkedIn. So we go into that in the next step. Let's just quickly see what Andrew had to say after working with me and helping him with his LinkedIn event. In this case, he was doing a webinar, not specifically LinkedIn event.
I actually managed to convert at 135%. That's 135% conversions from one webinar. So thank you, Shamayah. You are amazing. You actually get to the fundamentals of an issue extremely quickly, and that just delivers. It just works. Thank you so much.
And when you're doing LinkedIn events, it's good to know. So number one is know how to promote it so you get people to register, which will build your list. Number two is get people to attend, because if they don't show up, they won't have to hear what you have to say. Number three is making sure that you convert. So having an offer, having a webinar that gets people excited about how you can help them. And that's what we did for Andrew.
I actually managed to convert it.
There we go. Second takeaway, discover. And here we go into where ChatGPT is really brilliant. Here's an example, just so you know where we're going through. Stephen Curry and your LinkedIn strategy. Stephen Curry, I don't know if you know him, he was an all-time great basketball player. While he's short and can't jump very high, he got seriously injured. They wondered if he could ever play at a professional level again. And yet he became an icon in basketball. He shoots 2,000 shoots per week. So he's becoming a master at his craft. What is unique about him is that he did something different. Just a quick overview, if you're not familiar with basketball, that here's the 3-point line. If you score behind line, you get 3 points instead of 2 or 1. But usually you also have a risk because you could lose the ball if you miss. I'll show you a really short video.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Wait, that's a 3-quarter board. He made it and he got.
And the question is, are you the Stephen Curry in your industry? So what he did is like people then caught on. I mean, he's short, so when people block him, he can't get to the basket. So he stepped back further and further, and you could see like almost half court, he can shoot the ball in the basket. The question is, how do you set yourself apart from your competition so you have something unique that people will come to you? What's unique about you? How do you inspire others to strive for greatness? Are you committed to overcome all the obstacles? Because, you know, in the beginning, it can take some, you know, it can take a few times before you get things right. You may have to test some of the messages. And what's a special gift that you bring to the world? And all these things you want to make sure that you communicate so that people connect with you that actually want to work with you. And here we go into the ChatGPT. So thanks for asking, Jean. If you got your worksheet, you will see that there was actually, I just added it. So if you have the link, I just noticed that somehow it disappeared. I don't know what happened. I will also put it in the, oh no, it's too long to put in the chat. So if you have the link to the Google Doc, maybe you can put that in the chat, Gezel, then they can see it there and you can copy it from there. So if you have ChatGPT, you then copy, so you copy the LinkedIn, no, not the LinkedIn, the Google document. And then everywhere where it's like teal, it explains about my business. So if in teal, you would put in like what's relevant for you. So whatever kind of business you have. So here you can then put in the buyer persona for what your business is, what you do, who's your target market. I like to work with people in the US or UK as well, but mostly US. And then the rest you just copy and paste into ChatGPT. If you do that, you will see that it will give you the answer in a nice overview. And this really helps because if you can clarify who your buyer persona is, you can use this for all your communication. It's like if you ask your husband or your wife and go, hey, can you go and get some groceries so we can make a healthy dinner? If you don't define what the healthy dinner is, you don't know what you're going to come back with. So with ChatGPT, you want a couple things. So here we first define the buyer persona. In this case, it's Sarah Johnson. So this would be my ideal client. She's a CEO founder. She's making 250,000. So a successful business owner, children, and ChatGPT works out like what are the characteristics, what's the hobbies, the interest, but also what are her pains and the challenges she faces. What is her dream? To build a successful business while maintaining a fulfilling personal life. So once you have these key elements, you can use them for your LinkedIn profile, for your messages, for your event, because every time, like if you have ChatGPT 4, so that this is the 3.5 model, but with ChatGPT 4, which is the paid version, you can include it in your profile info. So then you can include the buyer persona. So when I write messages, I include the buyer persona, so then ChatGPT knows who he's writing for. Makes all the difference. If you don't have it, don't worry, you can just copy and paste it. You copy and paste it, and then you say, for this buyer persona, write me like a series of 3 messages. The other thing you can see here is that in ChatGPT, you can also tell it like here, the columns, that it doesn't have to be just text. You can give it instructions how to make it in thanks, Shanna. Yeah, in a column so you can easily see it. And you'll see that based on your target market or your buyer persona, it will come up with different answers. Another thing to do is to determine like, how do you want to communicate? Because you can tell it like you are, in this case, it said, you are a marketing researcher that speaks and writes fluent English. You can also say, write it in a more, as you've noticed in the emails, if you read my emails and my text for the reminders, what I used was ChatGPT and saying, hey, I want to make it lighthearted, a bit fun and playful. Then it gives you a different tone than if you say you are a professor and write an email for the students. So you can indicate what the voice is that you want ChatGPT to create content for you. So then first thing is the buyer persona. And then from there, you have the pain points. So you can then create messages or even a LinkedIn event based on those pain points. So I would recommend, if you don't have number 4, you can always just start with the buyer persona. And then you can put here, like in the messages, you can say, hey, give me a great title for the LinkedIn event. LinkedIn event for the buyer persona. For the above buyer persona on how to be more productive. I am a business coach and help set up systems and build a team. And here it gives me one example: unlocking productivity, mastering systems, and building a high-performing team with a business coach. It's quite a good title. You can also say, hey, give me 10 more options if you don't like this very much. Then it comes up with a whole list of ideas. Productivity hacks, efficiency unleashed, elevate your productivity. And then you can see which one you feel is best you. Because obviously you need to customize it and make sure that's your own voice. Like sometimes it comes with ideas that, you know, it's words that I never really use. So then it can sound very artificial. But if you then edit it and replace it, it will sound more personal. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, I think not. And then the same is true. You can ask it then, okay, for this buyer persona, create a series of content based on the pain points, or create the outline for a coaching program. And then also you can ask and say, okay, and you can see the prompts. I'm going over it a little bit faster, but you have all the prompts and you have the template in saying, okay, what is the unique added value? So I did that for me to say, okay, how can I set myself apart from other programs? And then ChatGPT will give you ideas. So it will say in the program. So one of the things it said, like, okay, make sure you have accountability, or what's important is that there's a follow through, so that you check in on them, or they have office hours. So it gives different ideas which you can include to offer. And then the other aspect of that is like, what makes you really unique? So you really have to combine and saying, okay, what sets me apart from the competition? And maybe you could even name some names. If it's big names, ChatGPT will know them. Like if you say, okay, I've learned this from Tony, take some from this, or use titles or headlines that have other people have used them. Okay, good question, Matt. He's asking if the buyer persona, remember the persona from one chat to another. So if you can say buyer Charles Smith and you use that persona for another chat, the way you would have to do it is here. It can only work for this chat. If you have ChatGPT 4, you go here in the profile info. So I put in my profile info, I have the user persona, and then it will remember it. And then I can just click it, and then it will know that it's for this buyer persona. Otherwise, you just have to copy and paste it into a new chat. It won't remember who Sarah Johnson is in the next chat. That's a very good question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, that was. So this would be, if you start to see, and then from the event title, we did that for LinkedIn events. And here you can quick overview of your action items for this section is to clarify your buyer persona with ChatGPT. Did you try it? Did you copy and paste it? And did you get your buyer persona? Did you try it like right now, or anyone struggling with it? That you couldn't figure it out yet? Were you all able to make your buyer persona? Were you okay, Albright? Did you have your yes, no? Still playing with it, Catherine? It won't remember from chat to chat. No, with the free one, no. Unless, as I said, if you have the paid one, you can, but it's not difficult because you can just copy it. There's not too much info. You can just copy and paste your buyer persona and say, write it for this persona. Shristi, I missed. So did you miss? I don't know what you say. What do we hit again? I don't understand the question. So if you can please clarify, that would be great. What do you mean, Clayton? What do we hit? In which way? How did you set it up? You mean the chat? Oh, sure, no problem. I was going very fast. I can see that. So if you have the persona, got it. So if you have in the worksheet that you downloaded, it has all these steps here. So here is the buyer persona prompt. This should be the buyer persona prompt, okay? So what you do is you first duplicate this Google document so that you have your own version, because you can't edit this one, obviously, but you would then replace this with what you're doing. So Clayton, if you can give me in like 2 or 3 words, like what it is you do, then we could put it in here. Or suppose you're a lawyer, maybe immigration lawyer or so. While I'm waiting for you. So whatever it is, you put it in here. This is my thing. I'm a business coach. I help entrepreneurs. Personal injury litigation. Oh, I was actually pretty close. Personal injury litigation. I'm gonna do this. So basically, what you need to do is copy all of this. Please write in English language, obviously. You copy the whole thing and then you replace the green or the teal part with what you do. So your business target, let's say it's also US market. Is that correct, Clayton? Personal litigation. Yes, perfect. US market. Anything specifically in the US or anybody? I would guess anybody who has injuries. Okay, good. And then you copy this whole thing, because this is the prompt. That's what we call the prompt. That yeah, market research, da, 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 da. So you copy exactly all these instructions. You copied it. Oh, Texas. I'll change it here. New chat. And then you post it in here in ChatGPT. In this case, it was not US, it was Texas. People in Texas. And then you hit enter, and then here it gives you your buyer persona. John Smith, 42, construction manager, married, he's in Houston, Texas. And then it gives you personal characteristics, main challenges, what he needs, legal guidance, emotional support. That's also interesting. And maybe you haven't thought about that yourself, because you think about, okay, we need to help them legally. But people also need emotional support. And to get an idea about who this person could be, preferred brands, the search terms that he uses, so you can use this in articles you write for your SEO, things like that. And obviously it's fictional. Yeah, I don't know about the legal stuff. Like I'm really focusing on the marketing and helping you use ChatGPT to become more efficient in generating leads and turning those leads into sales conversations. So is this helpful, Clayton? And also for other people to see how you create a buyer persona, because that really is the first step. Oh, that's good, Clayton. I mean, I wasn't aware of it, but if you are, that's very cool. But you can ask ChatGPT, like in what ways or what kind of emotional support do they need? Or, you know, where is there an opportunity that people need emotional support and it's not available yet? You know, things like that. You can really dive in deep. Or ask ChatGPT, like, you know, I need to write an email that gives emotional support. What can I write about? Or give me subject lines. Things like that. Yeah, I can totally see that. Okay, so that was the section on the buyer persona. Determine what makes you unique. And it's often a combination. Maybe you should ask some friends and say, hey, what's unique about me? What makes me specific or unique in what other people do different? And also send connection requests daily. As I mentioned before, if you're not growing like a plant, you're kind of dying. So make sure you always send, ideally 100 a week is what you can send. Or unless, like as I mentioned, we're sending for our clients like 500 to 800 a week. And also when they do then accept, we send a connection, thank you for connecting request and a follow-up, because what we want is start a conversation, invite them to the event. Here is interesting, this is Oryx Desert Salt, a company in South Africa. And I help them really like finding a new market by looking at, okay, who else could be your buyer persona? Because you can have more than one, obviously.
Shamayah has really been witnessing our team identify an incredibly exciting new market segment for us, which is corporate gifting. And through Shamayah's help in establishing a targeted communications campaign across LinkedIn, we've seen a lot of traction in generating conversations with high-level decision makers in the right positions to be purchasing our products for their teams and their clientele. And what's really exciting about this is that through the automation of these well-crafted LinkedIn campaigns, we are seeing an extremely positive uptake by the LinkedIn community who are saying yes, they want to know more, and are converting into email conversations and sales pipelines with incredible success and numbers. Thank you, Shamayah.
The third takeaway is deploy. So now we're going to take some action. And here comes the income formula comes in with LinkedIn events and beyond. What is the income formula? The income formula is communication out plus intention equals communication in equals income. If you would send 500 connection requests every week, let's say, and you have a good acceptance rate, 20 accepted, that's 100 new people. Of the 100, let's say 20, you follow up, they respond to you, that generates interest. And as you notice, the more you post, the more emails you send, if you start messaging, even if you start messaging or calling all your friends, people start responding to you, so you get more communication in. And for business, we especially like it. And that's where LinkedIn events are really great, because you can start with quantity. You can just send in messages out to people. LinkedIn now, especially if you have huge networks. I saw a few people with 8,000, 15,000. You can just send invites, 1,000 a week. But you can also send, well, with the system, as I mentioned, you can send personal message. And I've noticed that they may get less response, but you get really good people responding because they're interested in what you have to offer. And then over time, you improve the quality. How do you improve the quality? Because who determines what's a good or a bad message? Obviously, the quality depends on which message is getting results. And if you're able to measure that, now you can see what's working, what's not working. You can test it and improve it. Be genuinely willing to help. And when you write messages, write as if you're talking to a good friend. I'm sure you also get messages. Anybody gets messages like it's a whole essay that people trying to write and they want to sell you something? Anybody reads it to the end? Really, you already know these people are selling me something. Try to find out how you can help. If you're doing health, or in the case with Clayton, if people are injured, you can ask, has it ever happened to you? Or do you know if something would happen, who would you reach out to? Or what's most important to do? Give them some value. I mean, I would actually be interested, because I think most people, I don't know about other people, but I would have no idea what to do, or there may be key things you need to do so you don't make things worse, or you position yourself better legally. And then over time, obviously, you continue to increase the quantity and the quality, so you get better and better results. And your LinkedIn profile obviously plays a big part in that, also with your acceptance rates. If I get connection requests from people that don't have a profile photo, I don't even look at it. Headline, if it's not a strong headline, also maybe not cover photo, kind of depends. So here you can see what's the best thing to do is to have a cover photo that communicates clearly, and a headline, because this is the thing part people see when you send connection requests, that will grab their interest, want to become an author. Well, somebody that wants to be an author, they will be more likely to accept your request than if it doesn't say anything, or it just says CEO of Compass. It doesn't mean anything. So have a headline that works well. And again, you can use ChatGPT to help you with that. Here's another aspect. Here's the key components. So in this case, oh, less stress, more energy, more clarity, be the best you again. So anybody that wants to improve their health, they know, oh, okay, this could be a doctor that can help. Increase your productivity, solve the root cause of fatigue and brain fog. And natural health, so it kind of specifies how he can help you, what he does. And then you can determine, you know, is it somebody I want to be connected with? The about section, also really, really powerful because it's the first, you know, people first click on the link, they see your headline, they see your cover, then they're going to read and say, okay, who is this guy? In this case, it says, I failed to save the life that meant the most to me. Already it draws you in, and it's, yeah, very effective and important not to make this your resume. I see a lot of people say, oh, I've done this and I've done that, and sorry, but nobody really cares. What's important is how can you help? And that's actually where the about section is for you to position yourself. And again, I can't go into it in depth like right now, but I may do another training specifically on writing your LinkedIn profile, and then I'll let you know about it. Here's a few more examples of what to do with your profile. This is Janelle Carras, owner, United Real Estate. She looks like a broker or real estate agent. In actuality, she doesn't work as a broker. She does look auctions of real estate. So she works with brokers. Here's another one. If you see this, founder at Navi Studios. I mean, he can be a photographer. He can be like movie studios. There's many different options. In reality, he can take your software products to the next level. And this is what I mentioned before. If you can see the results, you know what's working. So we've kind of tweaked it a bit. We also depends on which targeting you use and the messaging. Those are the key aspects. You can see here as a connection request acceptance of 53%, which is very, very high. And then here you can see that the messages were also working because after the total replied after connecting was 50%. You can also see, which I think is important. I hope it's not too small, but it says here connected and responded to a connector message was 2.7%, which is only 3 people. So if you accept or somebody accepts your connection request and you say, thanks for connecting and that's it, he would only have 2% responding. The key is in the follow-up because connected and responded to a follow-up message was 47%. But without the statistics, how are you ever going to know what's working and what's not working? And how are you going to keep track? I mean, it can be done. It's just very time consuming of who responded and who to follow up with, especially if you have a big network. And here you can see the results when you have a very good profile.
Working with Shamayah and being able to have her expertise in building my profile was super helpful. I had what I thought was a pretty good profile, and I actually do think it was a decent profile. But the difference when I was able to run things by Shamayah and we worked together to craft something that really communicated the message that I wanted to communicate made a significant difference. I could really tell that when people, you know, obviously I reach out to somebody, they're going to look at my profile. I was getting a whole lot more interest and a lot more communication back. I feel like I was able to more clearly communicate exactly how we could help the client, our ideal client, and therefore our ideal client was reaching back. So that was very beneficial.
So that's what you can do. Here are the prompts. They are in your worksheet as well for how to write your red headline, the copy for your profile cover, about section. And even there, you can be very specific. So you can have a profile cover that has like 5 sentences. So you can say, ChatGPT, give me a good profile cover, maximum 5 words, or use this specific word and give me 10 options. How to write the about section, the experience section, commendation. And then there are also the prompts that you can use. I showed you a little demo before for an event title, event description, cover text and design for the event, the outline of your event even, promo post for your event. Those are all the things that you can do. If you do send invitations and start conversations, this is a really, really, really valuable statistics. It's related to InMail. So that's the paid version of Sales Navigator, but the same principle applies. You can see if the message is 0 to 400 words, it has a 22% higher response rate than average. If it's 401 to 800, it's plus 3%. And here, if it's more than 800 words, the response rate dropped significantly. So keep your messages short, personal, and to the point. Here again, here's some options which you can do for your LinkedIn event. How do you fill it? Well, you invite targeted connections. You may target only, like you said, if you're only in Texas or only in the US, it doesn't make sense to message people in other countries. So you can select who you want to target in Sales Navigator. You can laser target new connections, people you want to reach out to. You can message people in groups. And you can use the prompts for the targeting. You can even ask them who to connect with, messages for invites, follow-up messages. And that's what we help you with. Keywords for content, like these are all the things that you can do. So we have a whole training, as you can imagine, it doesn't fit in an hour. I just give you the overview, the big picture, so that you can get started and you can use something. This is in Maastricht, which is a city in the south of the Netherlands. And it was very special because you can see I'm with my dad, and I have 4 amazing sisters. And it was really special because, you know, due to certain circumstances, I really hadn't been in touch with my dad for over 20 years. And a few years ago, he started to get health issues with his health. And then he started to realize really the importance of connections and family. And, you know, we reconnected. And he really wanted to go on a vacation with all of us. So after 20 years, like we were with 5 girls living in different parts of the world, to go together for a week. So I could fly to Amsterdam because I had created that freedom and the income and the time that I could make available to visit. And it was really cool. It was really fun with all of us. So my sisters and their spouses and kids. And afterwards, I spent some time with him in this new place because he couldn't live on his own anymore. And we talked about family and life lessons. And what happens was that it was the last time that I saw him, because 5 months later, he woke up and he was coughing up blood. They rushed him to the hospital, but his body was too weak already. And within a few hours, he was gone. And that was last year, November. And I realized how precious it was to have still had that opportunity to share that time with him, and that I could fly out. And my business is in a place where I can just take off and do these kind of things. And, you know, in those moments, because we'll have people that we love, and we've likely all lost people that we love. But we're reminded that it's not the number in your bank account that really matters. It's the moment that we spend with friends, with family, with people we love. The difference we make, the people we help, that makes life worth living. But yeah, at the same time, we do need money in order to have that freedom. So I would like for your permission to show you the system that allowed me to create that freedom. So in like the last years, I've lived in 8 different countries. I've traveled to 28. Just this year, I've been in 3 countries. I visited Panama, I was in Ecuador, I was in the Netherlands. I'm now in South Africa, and I'm actually getting ready for a trip to Canada next week. And so it's really a cool lifestyle, which I would love for people to enjoy. Maybe you don't want to travel. Maybe you just want to, you know, go to your son's soccer game. But having that opportunity. Yeah, thank you, LJ. I know he's doing okay. Oh, cool, Guillermo, that's nice. You were from Panama. So yes, so I'd like your permission by a show of hands, if I can share. Thank you, the system. I'm just really also excited to it because for me, it's so much fun. The biggest problem that people have, if you can agree, is lack of time. If you don't have a system to execute your LinkedIn strategy, it's a lot of work. It's very time consuming to get the quantity, to follow up consistently, to create the content, and to do it all yourself. And if your team is not trained on ChatGPT and LinkedIn, like where do you even start? If you don't have if you have inconsistent follow-up, again, your sales will drop. You're losing a lot of sales. And you could feel stressed and overwhelmed. So what I did is I built this LinkedIn sales machine, Shamayah's LinkedIn sales machine, that will help you. So it's actually 2 different parts. The one part is the training. So I show you, we can go in depth. I'll show you how to use ChatGPT so you can put your whole strategy together. So it's a training, you watch the videos, it's a coaching that you can get feedback, and I can work with you in depth like I did with Anissa. We work on your sales strategy. You really master ChatGPT to revolutionize your marketing. And obviously what you learned, you can use for anywhere, not just on LinkedIn. and we'll show you how to host successful LinkedIn events. And that part is the machine where we set up the system that you get. We're using obviously your profile. We send out invitations, so we get people to show up. We set up the system that people show up, and then we also set the system to follow up, so that you get people to you actually convert your connections into sales conversations. That way you generate qualified leads and you can turn them into clients. And we use our Epic systems to increase the closing rate. I just showed you some of the statistics of the system that we can offer for you. So basically what we do, we build the Ferrari with you, and then we hand you the keys and say, okay, run with it. And all the things are set up. You just have to tweak them. There is also another option if you say, you know what, I want to have it with a chauffeur, that we do all that work for you and then just help you book appointments in your calendar. And that's a great way to supercharge your productivity. It includes the LinkedIn messaging and invites tool. So that's all done for you. You don't have to go one by one. Here you can see like what's possible. Like, can you send 182 messages a day manually, knowing and keeping track of who you want to message? We have the LinkedIn events automation system that makes sure like you got the messages, like for the worksheet, download the worksheet, show up, we're started. Over the years, I've invested over like at least 238,000. Joe Bauer, he's incredible in presentations. He's the mentor's mentor, like Jack Canfield, Russell Brunson. These are the big guys that train with him. Laura Langmeyer, she's known as the Millionaire Maker, and my amazing business mentor and consultant, Mayor Ezra. Tony Robbins, I did a bunch of trainings with him. So using all of that, what I've learned to improve, to learn, I put this all together for you in this amazing training and coaching program combined with the system. So you get the machine that will help you leverage the result. Do you need it? You can. I mean, obviously you can use LinkedIn yourself. The difference is just that, you know, you can go from LA to New York, like in a carriage. I'm sure eventually you will get there. It's not the most comfortable ride, and it's a long time. Or if you choose to work with me, it's like going on a private jet. It's more comfortable, more fun, and much faster. So if not now, when? That's the question. So I would love to meet with you. The link will be in the chat, and I will also email you, but you can set up a LinkedIn strategy session to see like really personalized